Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, your boy TPT, coming at you, not live and not from Twitch TV. I hope you all are having a fantastic morning, afternoon, or evening. Today, we are going to be reviving a bit of an older series of mine known as the EU4 Achievement series. So, if you've seen the older one of these videos, essentially what we do is we just kind of look at an achievement run that I've done, and kind of go through my thought process for it, things that I would note down, things that I might do better, things that I might not do better, and just generally kind of talk through what I did to get the achievement. So, in this episode today, we are going to be discussing the Mewar Never Changes achievement, as well as Maharana Pratap. I don't know why it's not showing there, but just to show you, I did get it right here. These are the two achievements that I got from this campaign, and I'm just going to walk you through essentially how I went about doing it. So, obviously, we started off as Mewar over here. It is a pretty decent-sized nation. We do also start off with Hadoti as a vassal. So that really helps us quite a bit by having like a decent foundation to start off with. So thankfully, we do also start surrounded by quite a number of, little small nations, which we do eat quite quickly. As one of the best pieces of advice that I can give, particularly when playing in India, is... well, not even particularly, but specifically when playing in India, is you want to be very aggressive. You want to expand quickly and you want to expand aggressively because you are going to run into some very powerful nations, and you're going to run into a string of alliance webs like Delhi, Gujarat, and Jaipur all being allied with each other. It was quite frustrating, I'll be honest. But as you can see, we did manage to kind of, sneak our way through that web, just slowly eating a few provinces at a time. We cut Delhi off in half, hoping that they'd get some rebels or something, though that didn't end up happening. But we did also want Sirhind, as that is a center of trade. We did have Bamanas as an ally for quite a lot of this campaign, though obviously you can judging by the fact that my borders are here, naturally we did end up having to betray them because they were being quite annoying, to be frank. They just weren't really doing what we wanted them to do. They kept on allying countries that we really didn't want them to be allied to. And long story short, they just really kept on screwing us over, to be perfectly frank. So we did end up having to betray them, though not for quite a while. Just right there, you'll see it. We're still, we are still allied to them, but we will betray them shortly here, I believe. It was shortly after they took that, and yep, there it is. Just took a very fat chunk of them. VJ definitely also quite powerful in this campaign, as you can see here. They managed to take a pretty solid chunk out of Bengal before we took a pretty solid chunk out of them. Obviously, just working on completing our missions. Typically, this is the area that we still needed at this point in time. We kind of needed this chunk here, and there we go. Took a bunch of that, but we still needed a bit more over here as well too, because the Mewari mission tree is not too bad. I will definitely say that I am not a fan of estate missions, and it does have 3 different estate missions for the Rajputs, or the Rajputs. Not quite sure if I'm saying that correctly, but it was definitely a little annoying to have to deal with them personally. We also, by the way, we fought Transoxiana about 6 times by this point because they kept on allying Delhi and Bengal and VJ, and here's us forming Rajputana. By the way, I would pause here for a second and tell you, forming Rajputana does not prevent the achievement. I feel like that's a very important thing to note because I wasn't aware of it exactly. I wasn't 100% sure. I was kind of getting a bit of conflicting information. Forming Rajputana does not change your mission tree, and thus you can still earn the achievement as Rajputana. Importantly though, you cannot form Bharat. because Bharat does have its own mission tree. So by this point, we had completed that one though, and what we're doing there is essentially we're just explaining a little bit further to get our force limit up to 200,000, so that we can change our government reform over to the 10% special force limit. So if we just give it a second, just scroll on over to here. This is the one we were waiting for, is can recruit Rajputs, plus 10% Rajput force limit fraction, meaning that we needed 200,000 army force limit to be able to get the second achievement, which is Maharana Pratap. So that was why we were still playing for a bit longer, even after forming Rajputana, because once we formed Rajputana, we could just go straight into Bharat, because we'd already completed the mission tree by that point. So as you can see, Bharat does have its own mission tree. Mostly just claims. I'll be honest, it is mostly just a lot of claims, as you can see here. We have claims on all of that, and then it does give us permanent claims on the entirety of the Persian region, so that is all of these provinces. And then this one gives us a bunch of admin points, and there's some other, like, they're all right modifiers, but they're really nothing like too special, I would say. Like a bit of extra mercantilism, a bit of extra admin mill and dip, temporary trade efficiency, temporary discipline, tech cost, which that one is pretty nice, but it does require a number of trade modifiers and such to be able to get. So it is definitely more of a late game one, and by that point, I mean 10% tech cost is still really nice, but it definitely doesn't have the same oomph that it has in the early game. I feel like tech cost, the earlier you get it, the better it is. I mean, probably pretty obvious statement given that, when you have more techs to take still, you're obviously going to get a higher value out of it. But that being said, I feel like this campaign did go quite well in the end. There was definitely some points at it which was a bit frustrating, in the sense of just like waiting for the right time to pounce. A lot of alliances, and waiting for the right time to get around those alliances, to break those alliances, to attack those alliances, just really everything involving alliances, which is quite reminiscent of my Serbia game that we are currently streaming over on Twitch. By the way, I did stream this over on Twitch. Not all of it, but definitely most of it. So feel free to check it out at twitch.tv/twinsplaytech. I'll obviously put a link in the description down below if you'd like to come on over, join the channel, and have say hello. I do stream most days around 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, except on the weekends. When I stream on the weekends, I usually start a bit earlier and go for a bit longer. Because obviously it's the weekend and I've got nothing better to do with my life. Kidding, mostly. But yeah, so I think overall this has been a pretty successful achievement run. We did have some interesting, things to note in this campaign. Specifically, the incredibly powerful Reformation that occurred over in Europe. I mean, look at this. There's pretty much only 3 main Catholic countries left. Well, there is Lithuania, but they're not really lasting that long. But you've really got France, who has also gotten their teeth kicked in. Spain and Bohemia is the emperor, with not a single Catholic province, despite it being religious peace, and despite him being Catholic, which I thought was pretty funny. I feel like if I was him, I definitely would have swapped over. Yeah, so not too much to learn from this game, to be honest. I think just like one of the few points would be forming Rajputana. I left it, I actually unticked the box because I wasn't 100% sure, but now that I know that it would be fine, I definitely would swap on over earlier. I think that was definitely I don't think it particularly made a huge difference, but I do think that it definitely would have helped a little bit at least. There was some claims and such that you get from forming Rajputana. If you want to see as well, here are my estates. We have the Brahmins, we have Rajputs, we have the Jains, and we have the Vishayas. We do have a bit of absolutism. Obviously, it's only been gone for about 40 years, so we haven't really had time to take that absolutism up. We are getting quite a lot of gov cap. We're also incredibly rich already. making about 563 ducats a month. That's primarily because of the incredible amount of great trade goods that we have here, as well as our constant building of manufactories to be able to support it. I do think that India, surprisingly, this may come as a bit of a shock to you, but I do think that India is actually one of the strongest places to start as, just given that it's very rich, it is quite prosperous. There's a lot of, there's quite a lot of development in here. It's mostly all the same religion. So if you're Hindu, it's fine. If you're Sunni, like for example, or Sunni, I believe, if you're start as Bengal, you do get the Indian Sultanate reform, which gives you +3 tolerance of heathens, which also makes it quite easy to expand, especially when you combine that with getting humanists early on. As a Hindu country, it's definitely not as much of an issue, but that's why I only got its 5th. But if I'm playing as someone like Bengal, I'd probably get humanist like 3rd. I'd probably go quality, trade, and then humanist would be my opener. And traditionally, it has been when I've played in here. By in here, obviously I mean in India. But that being said, obviously I did still go quality and trade first. I went for econ though, because obviously we have our gold province here, which is currently making us 17 ducats a month, which is incredibly good for our early game economy. Obviously it did have some issues with inflation early on, but overall it was definitely a positive. I think it was quite a fun campaign. It was definitely boring at times, of course, particularly in the later phases when we were just kind of waiting. It was pretty much just Bengal and VJ left, and we're just kind of waiting to declare between the two of them. The truce ends with VJ, declare on them, wait for the truce to end with Bengal, declare on them, wait for the truce to end with VJ, declare on them, etc., etc. Realistically, they would probably just keep on having to do that if I continued to play this campaign onwards, but most likely not going to, as I have been doing the Lazarus Achievement again over on twitch.tv/twinsplaytaken, another bit of a shameless plug. But I think that's really it. It definitely wasn't too difficult of an achievement. It is in a very fun region of the game. I do love playing in India. Obviously, the only downside really was that I did have to develop 3 institutions. So I developed, Renaissance, colonialism, and the printing press. I'm sorry, this one was Renaissance, this one was colonialism, this one was the printing press off the top of my head. But obviously, as you can see, I was able to do that in very rich provinces, except for the first one. And the other really, really annoying thing is that when playing as Mewar, your missions will move your capital about 4 or 5 times. It was quite annoying. Forming Bharat does move it again, I believe, as well too. But did definitely make it a bit annoying because obviously my main primary trade node is over here in Gujarat. And it kept on moving it to Doab in particular. I think it did also move it to Deccan once. But mainly to Doab, which is quite annoying. Because I just watch as, 200 ducats of my income just vanished, like over the month tick. That's because it moves your capital so many times. I mean, I don't think it says it here, unfortunately, in the thing. But if we do go to the this screen here, I believe it will show us. Yep, well, there you can see we moved it twice there. And it was also, another 2 times there. So that was about 4 times. And there might have been a 5th as well too, though I can't remember off the top of my head. But overall, like I said, pretty fun. If you did enjoy this, obviously feel free to come on over to the Twitch stream. I will be live at the time of this going live. Obviously, I'll probably pop this up at 4 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, and by that point, I will be live over on Twitch. Actually, I might put it up at 3:30. We'll see. But either way, I'll pop it up when I am live, so that way you can finish watching this video and head right on over to watch me play as Serbia. We're having a very successful campaign at the moment. We've almost got the achievement. We're really just waiting on one more war with the Ottomans to finally conquer Constantinople and get to that 3rd Rome. But it has been very exciting. If you haven't as well, be sure to join the Discord as well too, link in the description. And anyway, until then though, have a wonderful day and I will see you guys next time. Peace.